News at Bedtime. Review of the Year.
You're listening to the News at Bedtime's Review of the Year with me, John Tweedledum.
And me, Jim Tweedledee.
And what an extraordinary year 2020 has been for News at Bedtime. Jim?
Yes, indeed, John. It's been a cherry year, a merry year, a pear year, a dear year, a plum year, and a dumb year.
Sounds like Jim has been at the festive brandy already. I wonder if he remembers anything about the year.
Well, you'll remember this.
Ow, you hit me with your rattle.
It's what I do.
Me too.
Oh! Here are some of the year's news highlights.
Prince Charming has finally announced his engagement to Cinderella.
Yeah, it was amazing, right? My fairy godmother just waved her wand and I became, middle class. Totally brill.
The race between the hare and the tortoise has ended dramatically.
Look, let's be honest, neither of us won conclusively, and so I've offered my old friend the tortoise a deal where we share the prize and end the old first-past-the-post system.
I agree with her.
Thank you, tortoise.
Top footballer Georgie Porgy has issued a super injunction preventing publication of stories about his private life.
My client, Mr. Porgy, considers this to be a personal matter, and the purpose of the injunction is to stop any girls selling kiss and cry stories to the news of the nursery world.
Is he going to be dropped from advertising pudding and pies?
No comment.
Yes, an amazing year, and John is hoping that it will be crowned with an appearance by a certain overweight broadcaster in the Queen of Hearts' New Year's honours list.
That's not true. I am not expecting anything from Her Majesty, who I would like to point out does a very difficult job as Nursery Land's constitutional figurehead, as well as finding time to bake tarts all on a summer's day.
Oh, come off it, John. You're gagging for a gong.
You're the one asking to be gonged.
Oh!
We'll be announcing those honours live later on, but first it's time to catch up with what is happening on Twitter. That was a tweet. It was from little Robin Redbreast, tweeting his followers the important news that he sat upon a rail. Oh, and apparently niddle noddle went his head and wiggle waggle went his tail. Fascinating.
What a complete Twitter Robin is.
For Nursery Land, this has above all been a year of austerity, a year of cutbacks, and nowhere more so than in public services. Mary, our quite contrary correspondent, is with us here in the studio.
No, John, I'm down the line.
Mary, contrary as ever. And you're talking to a top civil servant about the impact of cuts on jobs.
No, John, I'm looking at how the cuts are affecting the Nursery Land military. I'm embedded with a division of the Grand Old Duke of York's regiment in an undisclosed location, and we're on manoeuvres. So, Grand Old Duke of York, you had 10,000 men. How many do you have now?
37.
Is that sufficient for up and downhill marching operations?
Well, you need a minimum of 10,000 men when you're up and at least 10,000 men when you're down.
And when you're only halfway up?
Again, 10,000 is the ideal figure for a neither up nor down scenario.
Some would say that in today's Nursery Land we need a more streamlined military, a more flexible modern army.
As a Grand Old Duke, I can tell you that so long as there are hills, we will need the men to march up and down them. Now, if you'll excuse me, we have a job to do. Men, halt! About turn, forward, march! Halt! About turn, forward, march! Halt! About turn, forward, march!
Back to you in the studio, Jim.
It's John, actually. Mary, contrary as ever. But surely the highlight of the News at Bedtime's entire year was my exclusive interview with Prince Charming's father, Prince Not Quite So Charming, who had controversially opposed the planned building of new starter homes.
Thank you. Yes, you don't have to do that, you know.
Phew, it's a pleasure. Just get my breath back. So, thank you, Your Royal Highness, for allowing me to come to this building site. And may I ask, as we agreed, what is your objection to this proposed development?
Well, the three little pigs are trying to put up these totally hideous little houses, which are utterly at odds with the prevailing architectural style of Nursery Land.
I couldn't agree more, Your Regal Majesticness.
I mean, one is built of awful straw, one of ghastly wood, and the worst of all is this frightful red brick monstrosity.
Oh yes, how dreadfully vulgar, your noble lordliness.
Why can't people build something more in keeping with the environment, like a traditional palace made out of marble with gold turrets and a drawbridge and a dragon in the dungeon?
Yes, why can't they, your imperial supremeness?
I'm going to write to the big bad wolf and see if he can't do something about it.
Thank you very much for the privilege of being in your presence, your kingly worshipfulness.
You don't overdo it, fat boy.
That's enough of that.
Oi, what are you doing?
Getting on with the programme.
I was just playing it as a mark of respect.
And stop standing to attention. You're demeaning yourself.
Just stretching my legs.
No, you weren't. You were practising getting a knighthood in the New Year's honours. Oh, yeah! Oh, okay, you weren't much. As John has demonstrated, this year has seen the return of class as a determining factor in Nursery Land life.
There have been worrying claims that social mobility has stalled and that the establishment is being dominated by people who went to public schools.
So I flew to Neverland, first star to the right.
Typical, everyone else has to fly second star to the right.
To meet one of the most prominent old Etonians in public life, Captain Hook.
Haven't you, Pan, you pestilent pack?
Captain Hook, if I could just interrupt your sword fight for a minute.
I'll deal with you later, Pan. Talk to my people. We will reschedule for 6 bells.
OK, I'll get lost for a bit.
Gosh, Peter Pan's a bit of a looker. Now, Captain Hook, I wanted to talk to you about the role of meritocracy in Nursery Land society.
Oh, not this old chestnut again. You know, I'm awfully sick of people saying I only got the job as pirate captain because I went to Eton. It's boring and it's unfair.
But surely your privileged education must have been an advantage to your career in the swashbuckling sector.
I have achieved my reputation as a bloodthirsty scavenger of the 7 seas through hard work and determination. Swashing and buckling has nothing to do with a private education. I mean, they didn't teach us keel hauling at Eton, you know. Oh, perhaps they did. Yeah, come to think of it, yes, I may have keel-hauled the odd fag.
But you still deny that you are the beneficiary of the old Lost Boy network.
Absolutely. I concede that going to Eton does give you the confidence to deal with certain social situations, say kidnapping a princess such as Tiger Lily, or inviting Wendy Darling, one of the Kensington Darlings, to join one's scurvy crew.
So, Captain Hook, you got the job because you're a safe pair of hands.
Is that supposed to be a joke?
No, I merely meant...
Mr. Smee, prepare the flag. Oi, oi, Captain!
Our fat friend has decided to take a walk.
Wait. In-depth reporting there. You're listening to news at Bedtime's very popular and indispensable Review of the Year. And with the time just coming up to 1 rum, 2 rum, coke rum, shoe rum, shetrum, shatrum, wineberry, wagtail, tarrydiddle den, it's time to have a wee drink, just for medicinal purposes, obviously. Oh, I feel better already. Time to have a look at the sporting year with Harry Parry.
This is The Sport with me, Harry Parry. And what a sensational year it's been. It started in January, brings the snow, makes your feet and fingers glow, when athletics history was made.
Yes, here he comes again, the ragged rascal running round and round the rugged rock in record-breaking time. That's world-class round and round rugged rock running by the ragged rascal there. And as he finishes the last lap, it's a really remarkable record rock run round and round by a rascal who may be ragged, but who has left the world of rugged rock running reeling.
But then controversy hit athletics hard, following a routine test on perhaps the most famous runner of our time, the Gingerbread Man.
On behalf of the Nursery Land Athletics Federation, I regret to have to announce that the Gingerbread Man is in fact a gingerbread woman.
Steve Crumb, the Daily Mirror on the wall. How can you tell?
Well, our suspicions were originally aroused when we noticed that he appeared to have no obvious genitalia, and this was confirmed by tests which showed that he was made not out of slugs and snails and puppy dogs' tails, but predominantly out of sugar, spice and all things nice.
Run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread woman.
Well, that really took the biscuit. But worse was to come in one of the biggest sporting scandals to rock-a-bye baby in the treetop. The cricket fixing affair.
Sport now, and a sad day for the cricket world with the revelation that Jiminy one-day cricket has been caught taking bribes. Top international player Spinocchio had this to say.
It came as a great shock to us all. Sorry, bit of a problem with my nose. I thought that Jiminy was a cricket who always stuck to the straight and narrow and always let his conscience be his guide. But although Jiminy was receiving gifts such as a top hat, tails, an umbrella and spets, which perhaps may seem surprising for a professional cricket, I deny allegations that Jiminy was not a true cricket at all. Sorry, nose again.
Top player Spinocchio there, who also denied he's anybody's puppet. And news just coming in, the International Cricket Confederation has had no alternative but to ban Jiminy from being a cricket for life.
Now that's just not cricket. And that's the sporting year from me, Harry Parry.
Thanks, Harry. There were more worrying developments this year in the field of genetically modified crops. Field, you see.
No.
Back in 30 days hath September, Mary, our contrary correspondent, went to harvest the news. You see what I've done there?
Yes, you've got yourself a whack on the bunce.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Mary, or am I? Yes, I am. And I'm here in the garden behind the potting shed with two opponents of GM technology, Bill and Ben. Bill and Ben, you are flower pot men. What are your concerns?
Oh,
So what you're saying is that you have come across a weed that can talk. I see. And are you afraid that a plant with linguistic ability is only the first of a series of nightmare developments in what you call the Frankenstein food industry? So you say, can we bring the weed in here now? Little weed, are they right to be worried about scientists playing God with nature and creating agricultural monsters? Gentlemen, weed, can you talk one at a time, please? The listeners won't be able to hear the points that you are making. A last word from you, weed. That's very much the last word, as Bill and Ben have just sprayed her with industrial strength weed killer. Bill and Ben, thank you for talking nonsense to me.
And what could be more appropriate to follow such a challenging piece of journalism than a bit of free advertising for the new series of Nursery Land's favourite TV show, Spinning Top Gear, with Jeremy Fisherson.
Welcome to Series 138 of Spinning Top Gear. Later in the programme, I'll be putting the new Cinderella pumpkin through its paces. It looks like a pumpkin. It feels like a pumpkin, but it handles like a carriage made of pure gold. This baby has literally got 4 horsepower. Crack your whip and you'll be at the ball before you can say ugly, fat, hairy lesbian stepsisters. We'll also be putting a Yonder Star in a reasonably priced car, and Hammy the hamster tests out the fastest vehicle in Nursery Land, Santa's sleigh.
This makes the Bugatti Veyron look like the Noddymobile. Let's take it for a spin. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen. On Comet, on Cupid, on Donna and Blitzen. The G-forces are absolutely incredible. This thing is seriously quick. And as I approach top speed, it's very hard to control. And oops. Sorry, Jeremy. And sorry, Santa. Where am I?
Next time we'll leave the driving to our tame Neanderthal racing driver, Stig of the Dublin.
Honestly, they make Peter Pan look grown up.
You're listening to the News at Bedtime review of the year. And with the time coming up to 11:12, Dig and Delve, it's not long now till the New Year's honours list is announced. Not that you're interested, John.
I'm just curious, and I think it would be a good idea if they put the clocks forward. In fact, this year, Nursery Land controversially proposed putting the clocks back from once upon a time to deep in the midst of time. Local Nursery Land authorities were particularly worried about having to turn the lights on earlier, as I discovered when I interviewed Councillor Tommy Tackett back in the darling buds of May.
Hello, John.
So what exactly is the issue with street lighting at night?
Well, the council feels that you've no need to light a nightlight on a light night like tonight, for a nightlight's light's a slight light, and tonight's a night that's light.
So if I understand you correctly, when a night's light like tonight's light, it is really not quite right to light night lights with their slight lights on a light night like tonight.
Exactly, so we just turn them off.
Leaving no slight light from the night lights on a light night like tonight.
Right.
Thank you and good night.
Most illuminating, John. Oh, yeah! I think they've got the right idea, though. Oh! Oh, what a shining example that council... Oh, yeah! A beacon of...
Got the message?
A glaring...
Apparently not. Now, with the time coming up to oranges and lemons, we take a look back at a year of litigation with our consumer champion, Hector Protector.
I'm Hector Protector, and this year I have been investigating the rise of compensation culture.
Have you had an accident at work? Have you gone up a hill to fetch a pail of water, then fallen down and broken your crown? And has your partner come tumbling after? Then call us at Sing a Song and Sixpence, Nursery Land's leading industrial claims lawyers.
I'm Jack, and thanks to Sing a Song and Sixpence, Jill and me were awarded a golden guinea. Our employers were found guilty of failing to put up a sign reading, Danger Hill.
That is just one example of the hundreds of advertisements put out by dubious law firms encouraging people to go to court. But are they creating a climate of greed? I tracked down little Miss Muffet, who successfully sued a Tuffet owner. Miss Muffet! Miss Muffet!
I have no comment to make.
Is it not true that you were given record damages and put an innocent Tuffet owner out of business?
Look, I'm the victim here. I was just minding my own business, eating curds and whey. There was no sign saying, warning, spiders operating in this area.
So you are saying the Tuffet owner was negligent?
Yes! It was a clear case of insectual harassment.
But spiders aren't technically insects.
You're trying to sit down beside me, aren't you? Perv! I'll sue you. That'll frighten you away.
Worrying evidence there that Nursery Land is succumbing to an epidemic of claim mania that threatens the livelihoods of us all. Back to you, Jim.
So, Mr. Singer, how much do you think I can get for being hit by a rattle? Really? As much as that? John could never afford it. He'd have to sell his little cap.
Jim.
Oh, sorry, I was just on the phone there.
One of the low points of the year, apart from Jim's attempts at humour, was the news at Bedtime strike,
which saw one of the presenters withdrawing his labour in a show of solidarity and integrity, and the other one crossing the picket line and scabbing.
Alternatively, one of the presenters turned up responsibly to keep the people of Nursery Land informed, and the other lazily stayed in bed because he couldn't be bothered to get up.
OK, let's allow the listeners to decide how that classic piece of scab broadcasting went when a replacement presenter had to be brought in.
You're listening to the news at bedtime with me, John Tweedledum.
And me, Little Boy Blue.
And here are the headlines. Industrial action by Nursery Land broadcasters has seen veteran presenter Jim Tweedledee replaced by newcomer Little Boy Blue.
And now it's time for the time with Dilly Dilly.
No, Dilly does the weather.
Oh.
But she's not here, so you'll have to do it.
The weather is coming up to Hickory Dickory Dockery Dare.
No, that's the time, you idiot.
Ow!
Just do the traffic.
Okay. March winds and April showers bring forth May flowers on...
No.
Ow!
No, not that.
Ow!
That's the theme, you twit.
I don't know what I'm doing.
No, not that. That's the pips.
What?
Oh, you're making it go backwards now.
Ow! You're hurting me.
Meant to.
Admitted it was so terrible that they took you off air and replaced you with an old programme about a duck and a drake and a nice barley cake.
Well, at least it wasn't as bad as your infamous gaffe this year when you offended half the country with your so-called slip of the tongue.
It was a mistake that anyone could have made.
It was disgusting. Let's hear it.
This is the news at bedtime with me, Jim Tweedledee, and my guest in the studio is a pheasant plucker.
Oh, no, Jim. I'm not the pheasant plucker. I'm the pheasant plucker's mate.
Oh, I'm sorry, the pheasant plucker's mate. So, why exactly are you plucking pheasant plucker's mate?
I'm only plucking pheasants because the pheasant plucker's late.
Oh, I see, you're a stand-in pheasant plucker. So, as a novice pheasant plucker who obviously enjoys plucking pheasants, what pheasant plucking advice would you give to any would-be pheasant plucker who wanted to take up a career as a peasant plucker? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used the word peasant. It's very offensive. The better to do the news headlines, I think. The inquiry into the death of Cog Robin began today. Sorry. coughing fit there. And the jury held that the sparrow denied shooting the arrow.
Rank amateurism there, and apologies to any listeners who were offended by Jim calling the peasant pleasant. Anyway. Now, regular listeners of this programme will know that Jim spent a lot of this year abroad as a freeloading ligger.
I think you mean roving reporter.
Looking for any jollies that he could rack up on expenses.
Pursuing the big stories of the moment as and when they happened. Oh, and here's some breaking news. Your nose! Now, earlier this year I travelled to the land of the free.
The land of the free bee?
To follow the mid-term elections. I interviewed Yankee Doodle Dandy when he came to town. President Doodle Dandy, why have you come to town riding on a pony?
We are facing tough times, which is why I've come to this great town riding not on a stallion, not on a cart horse, but on a humble pony.
Marvellous, sir. Very inspiring. And I can't help noticing that you have stuck a feather in your cap.
Indeed I have, but it's only one feather, appropriate for the tough times we are facing. Not 2 feathers, not 3 feathers, not a whole headdress of feathers, but one humble feather.
And do you have a name for this cap, sir?
Yes, indeed. I have called it Macaroni.
Marvellous. Thank you so much, President Doodle Dandy, for granting me an interview. But President Yankee Doodle Dandy was failing to get his message across. Voters had no idea what he was talking about. As reported on the right-wing American news channel, Fantastic Mr. Fox News.
President Doodle was in deep doo-doo following his disastrous decision to put a feather in his cap and call it macaroni. And President Doo-doo's boo-boo has handed votes on a plate to his rival Tea Party candidates, the Mad Hatter, the March Hare, the Dormouse, and, of course, presidential hopeful Alice.
My name is Alice, and I and my friends, the Mad Hatter and the Mad March Hare, want to bring sanity back into politics. If Yankee Doodle was a true American, he would have ridden into town on a Humvee, stuck a gun in his cap, and called it McDonald's. And you know what, my friends? What sort of name is Doodle Dandy? Sounds kind of foreign to me. You know what? I think the guy is a Muslim. Yes, sirree, hot diggity split. I say to you, Yankee Doodle Dandy was born in Muslimia.
This is Fantastic Mr. Fox for Fantastic Mr. Fox News saying good night, God bless, and vote Tea Party.
Amazing bit of reporting there by myself.
Yes, unbelievable, Jim. A bit like your expenses.
Sorry, John got something stuck in his throat there. It's a rattle. Still, there was good news late in the year. In the bleak midwinter frosty wind made moan with the release of the owl and the pussycat, who'd been kidnapped by pirates off the coast of the land where the bong tree grows. Mary, our contrary correspondent, was there to cover the extraordinary events as they unfolded.
Amazing scenes here as the owl and the pussycat walk to freedom at long last. We thought we would never see them again, but here they are, looking tired but happy. So, Owl and Pussycat, welcome home.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
You've survived an incredible ordeal and you've suffered terrible conditions. May I be the first to say, wasn't it grossly irresponsible for just the two of you to go sailing off in your pea green boat?
Well,
How stupid can you get? You go off for a year and a day and you make yourself a sitting target. Weren't you asking for trouble, Pussycat?
It was very much our dream to go on this voyage, and we had no idea that the Bong Tree territorial waters were unsafe.
Oh, come off it! And you, Owl, you drew attention to yourself by singing songs to the stars above on your small guitar.
one should surely be able to sing charmingly on one's own boat without being boarded and taken hostage by Bong Tree pirates.
So, having been taken hostage, a dodgy deal was eventually done with a local Bong Tree intermediary, the Piggywig. How much much did your freedom cost, Owl?
I'd rather we didn't go into specific sums.
I understand that the ransom paid was quite substantial, in the region of some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a £5 note.
I'm sorry, we've been asked not to comment by the Nursery Land Foreign Office.
I'll take that as a yes. So, Owl, any advice for other seafarers contemplating a similarly stupid voyage?
If, say, you are 3 men in a tub planning a bit of rubber-dub, then don't. Stay at home on dry land.
Owl and Pussycat, thank you very much.
It's your cue, John. Oh, hang on.
Mary, our contrary correspondent there.
Oh, and finally, before we summon in 2011, news is just coming in of this year's New Year's honours.
Is it?
11 new lords are ennobled for services to leaping.
Yes, and
Cinderella's father, Mr. Hardup, is to become Baron Hardup.
Good for him, and...
And you'll be very pleased to hear, John, that a much-loved national treasure, whose voice is familiar to millions across Nursery Land, has finally been given the recognition they deserve.
I don't know what to say.
Yes, Widow Twankey is to become a dame.
What? Nothing for me, then?
Not even a nighty knighthood. All that toadying to Prince not quite so charming and nothing to show for it apart from some sore knees. Ow! Ow!
Not as sore as your noodle.
There is something, John.
Yes?
You get to do the interview with Dame Widow Twankey, who now joins us down the line.
Dame Widow, congratulations. I am delighted for you.
Oh, no, you're not.
Oh, yes, I am.
Oh, no, you're not.
Oh, yes, I am.
This interview doesn't seem to be going anywhere, does it, boys and girls?
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, no, it isn't.
Oh, yes, it is.
I think we're feeling a bit jealous, aren't we, Mr. Tweedledum?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are.
Oh, no, I'm not.
John, maybe I should take over the interview.
Oh, no, you shouldn't.
Oh, yes, I should. Now, Dame Widow, as a former washerwoman, this honour will presumably change your life. The days of you being unable to get a table at a top celebrity restaurant like the Holly and the Ivy are behind you.
What are they, Jim?
They're behind you.
I can't hear you. What are they?
Behind you.
What's he saying, boys and girls?
Behind you!
And that's all we've got time for, thank God. On our review of the year, we'll just take a final look at our favourite headlines of the year. The Daily Fairy Graph had Toad of Toad Hall runs over protesters against Wind Farm in the Willows.
The Daily Mirror on the Wall had Thomas the Tank Engine to become Roger the Replacement bus service.
And the Nursery Times had Farmer's Wife defends cuts. Blind Mice Tales had to go.
And the Daily Twinkle Twinkle Little Star celebrated 40 years of naked pictures of Lady Godiva on a horse, with some more pictures of Lady Godiva naked on a horse.
And a last look at the clock tells me that the mice are running up it, which means it's Hickory Dickory Dock and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, John.
Happy New Year, Jim.
So, any New Year resolutions, my old acquaintance?
Yes, I've decided to stop hitting you with a rattle.
How's it going? Oh!
That was the news at bedtime. We'll be taking a fantastic comedic look at entertaining apocalypses on parallel Earths at the same time next week in I, God. Now, what is at number 7 in the top 10 comedy club moments of 2018 list? I hear you ask. Well, I am here to answer just that question.